Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Austin from AppSheet Training here, and I'm here with another daily no-code brief. Today's session, we're talking all about configuring our table. So yesterday, we started making a marketing content planner or campaign builder application. And today, we're going to take a look at how to configure that. And so I just want to welcome everyone on the chat. How's it going, everyone? And I see Mohammed has asked a question already. And so always welcome to ask as many questions as y'all would like, and I'll answer them here on these live streams. And so we'll get to that question in just a minute, Mohammed, and very thankful that y'all are participating in the chat, and glad to see everyone that's here today. So like I said, I'm Austin from AppSheet Training, and today's session is going to be completely focused on table configuration and how to do all that. Again, if you have additional questions, feel free to leave those in the chat and we'll answer those live on the call. And then just a little bit about us if you're new to the channel. We are AppSheet Training. We're a team of AppSheet experts and consultants and developers. And so we want to help you utilize this product called AppSheet. So if you're coming from Google Workspace and you found this new tool, we have a bunch of content geared for you and just want to be able to provide valuable trainings and materials to help you utilize that product a lot better. So if you're a small business owner or a business professional that's looking to utilize this tool, please feel free to share this content with anybody that may be interested. And with that, let's go ahead and get started with today's session. I'm Austin from AppSheet Training, and this is the Daily No-Code Brief. All right, welcome back. And so real quick, we do have live Q&A, and we'll always be having questions and answers throughout the session. Awesome, and nice to see you, Dustin, virtually at least. Looking forward to learning anything new about table structures. Awesome. So real quickly, let's answer this one before we get too far into the session. So Mohammed's asking, is there a way we can allow for form view to just edit a row in the table instead of adding a new row? Most certainly. And so let me go ahead and just walk through this one real quick because it's a pretty straightforward answer. And so if we add a record here, and Mohammed, let me know if this is what you're wanting to do. So I'm just going to add a test record real quick here to show this. AppSheet should allow you to have an edit pencil right there, right? And so you can just go ahead and click that edit pencil there, and then that's just going to edit the record. And so I can say test edit and save that. Now, if you're not seeing this on your AppSheet app, what you're going to want to do is head over to Actions, click the edit pencil, and then you can adjust it there. Or alternatively, you can go Add, create a new action, and then what you're going to want to do is just click the action app, edit this row. So this one right here, and we'll just call this one edit test. And you can see it popped up for us there. And then we can give ourselves a nice edit pencil for this action. We'll just choose that one and save it. And then we should be able to edit it using that feature as well. Let's give it a quick minute to sync. All right, and then if I click in here, I can click on edit test, and now I'm going to do second edit. All right, and there we go. So no copy of the row, it's just editing that specific record right there. And so that's just a quick test to show you, Mohammed, exactly how to open up a form view without making a copy of it. So I hope that's helpful for you there. All right. Again, feel free to ask any questions about your AppSheet product that you may be using, and any tools, or sorry, any workflows that you're working on that you would need further assistance with. All right. And so yesterday we took a look at how to build a data structure for a marketing campaign builder. And so today we're going to look at table configuration. So I've got some steps here for you guys that will walk us through exactly how to configure a table in AppSheet. And so we're going to walk through those step by step, and then I'll show you exactly how that's done inside of AppSheet. Okay, so the table configuration steps that we're going to follow is, first we need to set up the data types. We're going to create data relationships and then add additional logic. So let's go ahead and start with set up the data types right here. Okay, so I'm going to come back over to AppSheet, and awesome. Glad it helped, Muhammad. Thanks for asking the question. Okay, so back in AppSheet, I'm right here in the data tab. And the way you get to that is just by clicking these data icon right here. And then you're going to click on the data table that you want to set up. And so I need to set up the campaign table first. And the first thing that I check is this type section right here. So I know what each of my columns are because they're listed out here. So these line up exactly with Google Sheets. And then I'm just going to do a quick run through of, are these all the types of columns that I want in my in my data set? And so look at ID. I want it to be text, so that way AppSheet can put that unique identifier there. However, I don't want to show it. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that box, and that hides our ID column because that's for the computer, not for us. And then the label is going to be assigned there. And a name, and like our best practice recommendation is usually to change that to a text, just because the name is specifically for like names. And so you just get a little bit more flexibility with text. And then for a campaign description, that's going to be a longer text. So that's good there. For target audience, I may change this to an enum, because I might have just a specific set of target audiences and just want to go ahead and select those from a drop-down menu. Okay. And then start date is good with date, and end date the same is good with date. And then status is going to be an enum as well, because I'm going to have specific statuses for. Awesome. Thanks. And I guess your username's Total Black. Thank you. Glad you're joining from Brazil. And so the status is enum, and then our created by is going to be reference. And we're going to change that to users and mark that as done. And if we scroll over, what we need to put in here is user email. And I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm used to my everyday workflow. So let me stay on track with our steps here. And so the type is a created by ref, and then our created date time is needing to be updated to not just date, but date time. Okay. And so now we have all of our types configured for our campaign column, and those look great. So let's go next to the content planner, and then same process here, right? We're going to start with our name and look at the types, and then just verify the keys and labels, and so on and so forth. Okay, so ID is great. It should not be the label. Our label for content planner should be the content type, or the content name. So we don't have that, and so this gives us a chance to show how to regenerate this structure right here. And so I'm going to come back over here to my Google Sheet and the content planner, and I'm going to add a column right here, and I'm going to call this column content name. And so this is just so that it's more easily readable by whoever's viewing this item, right? And so I'm going to regenerate the structure for the content planner. And so this is kind of like a pretty typical practice when I'm building AppSheet apps is I'll like build the first rough outline of the data set and I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot this one piece. I'm not going to be able to find this record. So let me go back in and put a name column so I can have a good label. And so ID is always just going to be like a random string of numbers and letters. And then your name column is going to be what we read as we're looking for the record. And so I got my name there for the content that I'm going to be working on. And then the campaign ID, we can see that it's going to be a foreign key. I do, Dustin. And Dustin's asking if I have a preference between Google Sheets or AppSheet databases. My preference, because I use it most often, is still Google Sheets. AppSheet Databases has some pretty cool features, though. We did a versus video on one of these no-code briefs, and I just compared it side by side. Like, if I build this app in Google Sheets, what does it look like? If I build it in AppSheet Database, what would it look like? Or how long would it take? Or whatever criteria I was looking for. I think my favorite thing about AppSheet Database is that it does this ID column for you, which is pretty sweet. References are a little bit different in AppSheet databases. And then there's just some enum drop-down menu stuff that I was like, that's a little weird. Seems a little bit repetitive. But yeah, I like Google Sheets just because everybody knows how to use it. And so it's super easy to just mock up a sheet real quick and then get rocking and rolling with AppSheet. So there's my 2 cents on those on those 2 items. Okay, so going back through these types here, we got the reference there. This is just going to be text, and so brand and platforms. I'm going to make these enums, which an enum is a drop-down menu, and so I'm going to select those. You can also make enums buttons, which is kind of cool. Assigned to is going to be a reference because I'm going to pick somebody from my user table to assign this piece of content to. Due date can stay as date. Publish date can be date. Actual publish date will be date. We'll set up an automation for this one to run, or an action rather. Status is going to be an enum. And then link should be a URL. Feed myself to, yeah, it is a bit of a different learning curve. Yeah. Yep. That is for sure, Dustin. All right. Created by is going to be user table because it's a reference, and then created date time is date time. Okay, so this table is now set and complete. We set all the data types there. Okay, next is our task table. And we have the content planner ID here. So this time, this is another foreign key, make it a reference. And you can tell the reference table because it's right up there in the name. So I'm going to select that one and say done. And then assigned to is going to be a reference to the user table because I want to assign tasks to certain users. And then task name, I'll change that one to a text just to keep it consistent. And then task description, long text. Status needs to be enum. And created by is going to be a ref to the user table. And mark it as done. All right, and last one here on this table is date time. Okay, so you're probably starting to see a pattern. And then as you guys also start building your own AppSheet apps and start identifying the kind of similar setups amongst all the different AppSheet apps, you'll be like, oh, I use this a lot in all of my AppSheet apps. So it kind of becomes just second nature as you start like building these databases. And so email's good. And then for name, this is an actual name, so I think it's fine, just like that. Okay, so our next step, I'll show you guys what I like to do for the, let's see, um, data configurations. So, okay, let me head back to my steps. Okay, so we just got through doing our table configuration steps, set up the data types. So basically go to the data tab, click on the table that you want to start setting up the data types for, and go through the list of columns and set those data types correctly. So there you go. There's step number one. Give ourselves a check, cross it off the list. All right, step 2 is we're going to start creating data relationships, which we kind of already did. And so we can go back and make sure everything's set up there. And we can mark this one off our list really quickly. So I wanted to talk about data relationships just a little bit more, just because we got a lot of questions about that yesterday and how that all is set up and works properly in AppSheet. Okay, so let's take, for example, our campaign and our content planner. There's actually 3 relationships here. And this, well, 4, right? Because we have campaign, content planner, tasks, and users. But let's pick one, and then I'm going to dive in on like how these relationships are created and why I created them the way I did for that specific user experience. Okay. So the way I like my apps to be structured is it has like a top level, and then there's like level 2 and level 3. It's kind of the way I think about it when I'm building these. So top level for this application is our campaign. And I think this is best illustrated through like the views in the app. And then we'll take a look at the specs as well. And that might help visualize this even further. Okay, so campaign. So let's come up with a campaign for this company. And so we can just call it back to school, because everybody's going back to school. So back to school, run a campaign about going back to school. All right. And then target audience, we can just put parents. All right. And then we'll have start date and then an end date. We'll run it for the month of September, which probably missed our chance to do back to school if we were running this campaign. And then the status would be not started. All right. Okay, and as you can see, we already got a data relationship problem. And so if you see this popping up, this yellow triangle, first step is to go look at your database or Google Sheet and see if you have any data in there for that. And look at that, we don't. So that is exactly why that is not popping up. And so I need to put my email in here. And I'll just type it like that. Okay, and so if I come back over here, and all I need to do now is actually just save this record, and then we have our campaign right there. We can go ahead and trash that one. And so here's our campaign, back to school. We haven't started it yet. Run a campaign about going back to school. Okay, and then if I scroll down, you can see that AppSheet was able to resync, and now that reference has been created of my name and my email. So it knows what item I'm looking, what item is associated with my name. Okay, so that is one way to like visualize this relationship. And then let me give you guys a clearer picture of this. So again, this is a campaigns table, right? And so if I click here, I'm clicking on a campaign. So if I go to the view and add a header column, we can put the campaign at the top. And I'm actually going to get rid of this edit pencil. I have many. Yes. Great question, Dustin. So Dustin's asking, will this app include any reference columns that have a many-to-many relationship? They are slightly confusing to write up. For sure. Yeah, I always got confused with those and like, where do I put this column if I want it to have like multiple records related back to this one? That we've already created a many-to-many where a user can have many campaigns related to it. And so that's how AppSheet does those relationships. And then the same thing. Oh, many-to-many, not one-to-many. I gotcha. Okay, so this is a one-to-many. Yeah, so a many-to-many. We can set up a many-to-many. I'll show you how to do that as well. And it may not be exactly what you're looking for, but I can walk through those steps with you as well. And so this is a one-to-many right here where we have the campaign, and then we can have many content planners associated with this specific campaign. And so I can add as many pieces of content to that campaign as I want to. And then further, if I add content, I'm going to be able to add as many tasks to that specific piece of content as I would like to. So that's kind of the setup there for the references. And then let's take one deeper dive into references. And I believe that's going to be in our info. Let's see, where is that one? Looking for relationships. Here we go. Okay. And so we have a user can have many campaigns, and then content planner is over here, kind of by itself. But I'll create a relationship to where we can have many-to-many set up there. And the way I would do that most logically in here is going to be on the content planner assigned to one. We can make this a type enum list. And then we're going to do a base type ref. And the reference table is going to be the user table. Okay. And then one last step that you have to do here is do data validity. And then I'm just going to validate every record. And so if I'm going to the user table, I'm just saying user table, and then email is going to be your key that you're searching. So just look through all of those. And looks like I forgot the S. And then if you want to validate, or if you want to like make a specific list, you have to use a select expression or dereferences. And so if you don't want to validate the whole table, that's your way of like making some type of condition for that table. Okay. And so now I'm going to be able to select multiple users for a specific piece of content. So if I open up this one, we can see, and I don't think I have multiple users. So let's see, where's the assigned to column? Is it not showing in here? Go back here. We're in the content planner. And campaign, content. Oh, we were on the campaign. That would be why. Okay, so if I add a new piece of content, I can now assign myself. And then if I add another user into the database, so we'll just use our John at email.com, and then John Doe, right? And so now we'll have two users in the data set. Go ahead and cancel and refresh. I can add another piece of content, and now I can select many users for a piece of content. And so that is one way to set that up. So let me know if that answers your question a little bit there, Dustin. And so we can see here, it's still just users can have many campaigns, and then content planner is by itself, right? So we've got those set up there. And so let me kind of bring it back to center here for setting up data relationships. The way that works in AppSheet is through foreign keys. And so we have the campaign ID is going to be our foreign key. And then you can also click this is a part of button if you want to continue adding multiple records. And so references are the way relationships are created inside of AppSheet. So I'm going to go ahead and save that one. And then I want to check this one more time, just to see what our relationships are doing here. Because this one should have related tasks. So maybe we forgot to set up our related tasks here. We do have it there. Let's go ahead and click the is a part of button and save that record. Maybe it's because we haven't added any records yet. So we'll go ahead and add a back to school record and then social post. This is going to be for AppSheet training. And then platforms, we'll do Facebook. And assign to, we'll select both of us because we'll be doing different things. Status, not started. And these should be autofilling. So that'll be our next step. But let's check the data relationships now and see how those are working. Okay. Interesting. Oh, right. We didn't add a task. So let's add a task to myself and we'll do another test and save that record. See if that updates our little visual here. I guess not. I have to look at this. Okay, here it goes. I was like, I know I'm creating these relationships. It's just not visualizing it. Okay, so here's a little chart that can be helpful. So let's zoom in a little bit. It's a little bit like all over the place, and it's kind of fun to move around. But okay, so we have our main source of content is going to be the campaign. So a campaign can be made of pieces of content, and then a user can have many content plans, and a user can have many campaigns. And then over here, a piece of content can be made of tasks, and a user can have many tasks. Okay. So I'm trying to think of a use case. Maybe Justin, if you want to help me out. There certainly aren't a natural process for AppSheet parent and child tables acting as both roles. Yeah, Dustin, if you have like a specific use case in mind where you're like, this is where I've run into the issue of wanting to do many-to-many relationships, that might, I always work better if I have like a specific concept in mind, and then I can build out that type of relationship in AppSheet. I can't even open my relationship page. It looks like, yeah. So I guess it formats that after you add data into it, which is interesting. I didn't know that was the case. And so you have to add data to it, and then it'll start showing you like, here's how your data is connected. Okay, so we've got one more step, and we did kind of like a long build around what relationships are in AppSheet and how to find out what's related to what. One more note, kind of just a tip here, is if you click this and you go over here, that might help a little bit. How's it going, Pedro? Welcome from Colombia. So you can just go ahead and see just like a running list of things, which may be better to see than just your data relationship map here. Um, Also, I've also just used draw.io or other like whiteboarding platforms. That one's like a data relationship platform. It's on Google and it's free. And so that's just helpful to kind of map that stuff out if you're like trying to work from a high level and get your ideas down on that. Okay. All right. So creating the data relationships, most important step for that, AppSheet uses a reference column, and that's how you create those parent-child relationships. And then many-to-many, let me come back to that one, Dustin, for tomorrow, and I'll do a more thorough review of what many-to-many looks like in AppSheet and how to set that up. All right, so data relationships is a check. All right, adding additional logic. So for this one, what we need to do is just add our initial values or our show and hide features or our formulas. So let me just show you one example of that real quick that I love doing for my user table is adding what's called a virtual column, and this is going to be an icon. And so this is a really simple expression. Maybe it looks a little bit complicated, but I think it looks cool inside of AppSheet. So you do text icon is going to be your function, and then you use initial is the next function, and then you just take your name, and it'll get your initials from your name. And I don't know if I spelled this one right. Yeah, there we go. AppSheet helps me out. Gets my spelling corrected for me. All right. And so you can use text icon, pull your initials out of your name, and then you have a little icon thumbnail for people to see what user is logged in and everything. And so just create a real quick view for the user table so y'all can see this one. And then let's call this users. And let's just go with deck view. And we're going to get the icon. Okay, great. And so we'll save that, and then y'all can see how the icon looks right there. All right. And so we have my initials and then John Doe's initials, and that'll just like repeat continuously. Okay. And so that's just a fun little trick right there for adding additional logic to your data source. Other things that I like doing is having these initial values for created by and date time. I usually use the now function here and user email there. And then I'll use context view type to show and hide these on form views. And after that, it's just more customization. So we'll do that tomorrow. So thank you all for tuning in today and joining our daily NoCode briefs. We went over how to configure your table in 3 steps. So there's the additional logic one. Check that one off our list. And so today we talked about setting up data types, creating data relationships, and adding additional logic into our data sets. So tomorrow we'll look at app design and then automations the next day, and launching and deploying finally on Friday. So today we went over table configuration tutorial for AppSheet and talked to you guys about some of your questions. So I appreciate everybody that joined today and asked great questions. I love hearing what y'all are working on and everything. So let me switch my screen over here real quick so y'all can see this a little bit better. Okay, so if you enjoyed this content and you want to learn more, we have a free training website. So you can sign up today, and we have given you guys access to blogs and articles, the AppSheet toolbox, utilizing all of the available resources there. And then if you sign up, you get to join our email list where we'll send you just our expert opinion on all the things going on in the AppSheet world. This will help you minimize your learning curve and maximize building with AppSheet training, or app building with AppSheet training. And for sure, Dustin, glad to do these every day. And again, if you guys can go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button and share it with your friends, that would help the channel grow, reach more people. We're looking to help business professionals and business owners who are in the small to medium sized space. And so if that is you, or you know somebody like that, feel free to share this content with them. We hope it helps them and helps you guys use AppSheet even more. And then you can register for these sessions at that link there. And then don't forget to sign up for your free account at appsheettraining.com. Again, thank you for everyone who joined today. And with that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a great one.